Assalamu alaikum, everyone. I hope you are doing well. Today is Wednesday, January 29th, a big day in the market. We had the Fed comment on interest rates, basically saying it's unlikely that they're going to decrease interest rates in the near term, but they do, see a balance in risks between the economy slowing down and inflation picking up. As a result of this, we did get a pullback in the probability for a rate cut in March. So if you look today, the probability for a rate cut, a 25 basis point rate cut, is only 18%, whereas yesterday, before the Fed meeting and subsequent press conference, it was 30%. So we got a 12% decrease in probability there for a 25 basis point rate cut. The probability for a 50 basis point rate cut essentially went to zero as per the market. Nevertheless, the market did react pretty positively to the Fed's meeting. Well, depending on the name, actually, the indices are in the red, but not really that much in the red. So Dow Jones is down 0.31%, NASDAQ down 0.24%, S&P down 0.47%, Russell down 0.2%. So very little movements. I call it flat in my book. The dollar index was up a smidge, also call it flat, up just 0.03%. So we'll ignore that. And 10-year yields were down 0.09%. We're also going to call that one flat. So pretty flat day in the market, even though there was a lot of volatility. For a lot of names that we're interested in, alhamdulillah, they did go in the right direction. So Tesla, we're going to talk about that a bit more in this live. Obviously, they've reported earnings. The Tesla earnings call is ongoing. They're in the question and answer section. But I'll tell you guys the gist of what I heard. And, names like Bitdeer were up today. I think the message from Facebook or Meta, which also had earnings call, was that the investment in data centers, the capex in AI was not impacted by the DeepSeek revelation. And so the market is kind of, I think, on the fence about whether or not it wants to believe that. Gold is up. It's now 2,760. Bitcoin is at 104,000. Doge is at 32 cents, and Solana is at 229. Now, we did see a bit of a rebound in alts. Obviously, it was a mixed bag, but when you look at the red that we saw yesterday, this is definitely an improvement. Tesla stock is up $16 after hours. Let's see if this is, it's up around 4.26%. Expect a lot of volatility after hours. It was down 2.26% prior to the market closing. Now, if we look at what came in the Tesla earnings report, the revenue and income were right around where we expected them to be, so nothing really to write home about there. What's really encouraging about this company is the positive cash flow that it continues to generate despite all of the investments that they make, the aggressive expansion in production capacity and research and development that they do. Despite all of that, they're still able to throw more money on top of their cash pile. And they've increased their AI training compute by 400% in 2024. Over 3 billion miles were driven cumulatively on FSD. Completed construction of Mega Factory Shanghai. Despite these developments in the capacity of the company and expansion of their abilities, they are still producing more cash than they know what to do with, which is excellent. And so this is good for the health of the company. It's also good for shareholders, obviously, because it means they're probably not going to be diluted anytime soon. Now, other highlights from their report: growth in energy generation and storage. This is their most profitable line of business if you look at the margins. And they expect something on the order of a 50% growth in that line of business in 2025. In terms of their profitability, they've mentioned that they do think that this will be enhanced over time as hardware-related profits are accompanied by acceleration of AI software and fleet-based profits, which typically have higher margins. So think of them as software margins versus manufacturing margins, which tend to be a lot tighter. This is something that obviously will set it apart from traditional car company valuations. This is what Tesla bulls argue for constantly, and Tesla bears just don't seem to understand. On the product front, plans for new vehicles, including more affordable models, remain on track for first half of 2025. These vehicles will utilize aspects of the next generation platform as well as aspects of their current platform. Therefore, and will be produced on same manufacturing lines. So that will reduce the cost and time to get them out into the wild. This approach will result in achieving less cost reduction than previously expected, and also enables the Tesla to prudently grow vehicle volumes in a more CapEx efficient manner. And the purpose-built robotaxi product, the Cybercab, will continue to pursue a revolutionary unboxed manufacturing strategy and is scheduled for volume production starting in 2026. So on the that's with regards to the report. On the call itself, I'll tell you what I thought was most remarkable. So Model Y was the best-selling vehicle of any kind in 2024. And there is a path where Tesla is worth more than the next 5 companies combined. He mentioned that he thought the robots business on its own could eventually produce something on the order of 10 trillion in revenues, which is a number that really doesn't make sense if you try to understand how big that number is. He mentioned that it is a difficult but achievable path, and setting up for an epic 2026 and ridiculously good 2027 and 2028. And considering investing is a forward-looking exercise, perhaps that epic 2026, ridiculously good 27 and 28 get priced in 2025 if the investors have enough belief that this will in fact happen. He did mention that he, with regards to FSD, he may be, the boy that cried wolf, but he guarantees us that there is a wolf, and that wolf can drive a car autonomously. So very few people understand the value of FSD, and his claim is that people who own Teslas are going to experience an appreciation in the prices of their cars once FSD is enabled. So full self-driving is enabled. That's going to make the cars a lot more beneficial, and it's going to increase the prices of those cars as a result. And what was really exciting that was mentioned was that the reality of autonomy is upon us, and he thinks that he hyped the version 14 for FSD that's upcoming, and that he thinks that the FSD will be rolled out in June of 2025. I'm not seeing it here, but that's what I heard. June 2025 is when FSD is going to be rolled out. It's going to start in Austin. So there's going to be Teslas driving around without people in it in Austin. The training needs for Optimus are probably 10x what is needed for the car. So that kind of speaks to the investments in AI infrastructure that are needed. A humanoid robot has probably 1,000 times more uses. That doesn't mean the training scales by 1,000, but it's probably 10x. So still, we're talking about, huge demand for training and the infrastructure behind it. We're obviously going to train Optimus to do enough tasks. Cost of training is dropping dramatically. Long-term, Optimus, as I mentioned, could unlock 10 trillion of revenue. The future is going to be incredibly different than the past. So as mentioned, going to be launching unsupervised FSD in Austin in June. FSD is literally 5 to 6 months away. Full self-driving is literally 5 to 6 months away. Our solution is a generalized solution that does not require mapping. This is very important for those who compare Tesla to Waymo and kind of still think that Waymo has a chance. Generalized solution that doesn't require mapping is going to eat the lunch of any solution that requires mapping and is limited to geofenced areas. Optimus and use of Tesla will inform the design of the robots, and going to ramp Optimus production faster than anything ever before at Tesla. So I heard something on the order of 500% is what they're going to aim for, increases in production in Optimus from one year to the next, 500% every year. So I mentioned that I thought 2025 was going to be an inflection point for Tesla stock. If we get confirmation with time that the claims made in these earnings calls have merit behind them, and then it's shaping up that it will be this case. Now, the goal of this PIF is to get at least 1,000 of our members to $1 million in net worth. And to get $1 million of net worth in a stock like Tesla, I think you have to have at least 300 shares of Tesla. Because I do think it's at least going to do a 10x here, probably more. But so we will try to build that position in our portfolio and make sure that we get there, inshallah, in our PIF portfolio. If you'd like to follow our portfolio, make sure to become a PIF member. Link to do so is in the description. Like this live if you enjoyed it. Let's go to questions very quickly. Looking at Canadian stocks, I'm looking everywhere, to be honest, for the best opportunities. And today we dipped our toes a bit into penny stocks, something I've never done before. We'll see how that goes. Muhammad Ammar says, any thoughts on Zuck being irresolute about AI CapEx infrastructure? I actually think what he said was, perhaps he didn't use the same amount of clarity that some wanted, but he was pretty clear about their intentions on investing in infrastructure not being impacted. So perhaps others are reading between the lines better than I am, but what I heard from him is that basically the course is what it was. Assalamu alaikum, brother. Yeah, Abdullah, you bring up a good question. Do you think increasing production will positively impact lithium prices? Well, he did mention that the constraint on volume was batteries that use lithium. So logically, perhaps there is. Salam Rakaan, thanks for new additions to the portfolio. It is my pleasure, Khalid. I'm glad that you're a member. Assalamu alaikum, brothers. Tesla, Meta, and Microsoft guided for less AI capex in 26. I'm not sure that's accurate. If you look at Brother Muhammad, so Elon mentions perhaps there will be a humanoid robot has probably a 1,000 times more uses. That doesn't mean training scales by 1,000, but it's probably 10x. So, like I said yesterday in the live, the criteria for me, in my mind, something that I understand. This is, something that I will use to gauge whether or not more compute is needed in the world. Have we found cures to all ailments that impact humanity? If we haven't, then more compute is needed. That's kind of how I think about it. And compute, regardless of how efficient, requires more electricity, requires more power. And yes, we will get more efficient with the algorithms. Obviously, DeepSeek proved that and the opportunity for that. But all else being equal, at any rate of efficiency, the more capacity you have, the more you can do. So all else being equal, having 100 GPUs is more powerful than having 10. This is just a basic concept. And so this is how I think about it. Perhaps there's something that I'm missing, but with DeepSeek's algorithm, if you have 10 GPUs, there's a range of things that you can do. If there's 100 GPUs, you can actually improve it 10 or 20% or whatever percentage. And that improved percentage, I think, will make the difference between these different services. And so, a 10 or 20% could difference and is, may be all it takes for one company, one service to win versus the other. So I don't see any tempering in the race for compute, in the race for power, because like I said, all else being equal, the company with more compute has more options. Crypto, you just have to set it and forget it, wait for the right time, and then take profits. Yeah, it's tough to say, Dr. Khalid. Elon is, oftentimes misses deadlines, but I do think he's not just making stuff up for the purposes of the earnings call. Assalamu alaikum, Zayn. Nice to see you. Mentioned DeepSeek. Tesla is expensive. Yes, of course, it is expensive because that's what you would expect when you have, a best of breed company with lines of business that are, revolutionary for the entirety of humanity. So, yes, it is expensive, and that's to be expected. You want very cheap stocks. Sometimes you'll find a very promising stock that's very cheap, but they are very rare. Typically, cheap stocks are cheap for a reason. It's possible for Waymo to find a way to avoid the mapping system as well. Maybe it is. Maybe it is possible. I think you should always, put as a possibility that your thesis is disrupted. I think that's always a possibility. And as you correctly point out, DeepSeek seemingly came out of nowhere and threw everybody off. So everything is possible. It's just a matter of likelihood. Can't give personalized financial advice, Islam. It's my pleasure, Muhammad. Salam, Ashar, nice to see you. Rashad, always the goat of commenting. Salam, all crazy times indeed. Be strong and leave a like. Totally agree. Be strong and leave a like. Thanks, Muhammad. Really appreciate that. If I had to choose between Bitdeer and Iron, I would choose Bitdeer, and that's because of I think the diversified approach of management and coupled with the valuation, I think Bitdeer is valued less, more attractively than IOS Energy is. So at this point, I would go with Bitdeer over IOS Energy. I think there's a discount that's being imposed on Bitdeer stock because it's based in Singapore. I think if it was based in the United States, it would probably be valued higher, and that's why I would go with Bitdeer at this point. Also, the founder is someone who has previously been extremely successful building companies. So he was co-founder of Bitmain, I think the largest mining rig company. And while that is a private company, it's hard to assign a valuation to it, but estimates are anywhere between 25 and 50 billion. So he has good experience, and so that's why I would prefer Bitdeer. If you enjoyed this live, do leave a like. I'd really appreciate that. Become a PIF member if you aren't already. We're doing a lot of great things. The Discord is awesome. I'm personally, a fan of the product, even though it is my business. I get so much benefit from our members, and made some pretty good trades this week, alhamdulillah. And you get to follow my portfolio that I invest my own money in. You get to follow that move for move. And we're adding new features all the time. So that's my pitch. Become a PIF member. I think it will pay for itself many times over. Until next time, make sure to take care of yourself. Assalamu alaikum and peace be upon you all.